I paid him $250,000, which you can buy a house back then for $250K.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of money. That'd be the equivalent to paying someone almost $1 million, $800,000 in today's dollars at that time. So it was a lot of money.
Well, and you're like early 30s at this time.
Yeah,
like,
I was early 30s. Yeah, but can I tell you what? It was money well spent, and it changed the trajectory of my whole life. I'm so grateful. And I ended up being the best man in his wedding.
No way.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy who didn't want any more friends.
I know. We became very close friends.
My name is Austin Tucker, and I'm on a mission to find the best come-up stories in the world. Everyone talks about success, but no one talks about the in-between. The mess, the risk, the doubt. I'm here for the people who made it anyway and are willing to tell their stories honest, unpolished, and real. These are the Breakout Bunch.
We're here with Doran Andry, serial entrepreneur. You've had multiple exits from companies. You live in like your dream home now. Tell me a little bit about what was your start like? What was like your childhood like up until the point where you decided like I want to be an entrepreneur?
So great question. I want to first of all say thank you, Austin, for having me on the podcast. I'm very grateful. Hope I can bring some value to your listeners.
Absolutely.
So I was born in Los Angeles with 6 kids in a 1-bedroom apartment. At one point, my father didn't even have a car. He used to hitchhike to work. So grew up with very humble beginnings. But my dad had this relentless belief in the American dream and his kids. Mm-hmm. And so he exposed us to, he would take us like to Beverly Hills, and we would just drive around and just look at the houses. And he just exposed us in a way where, as one of my great mentors said, once the mind expanded, it can never go back to its original size.
Right.
And he had tremendous belief in us. So I grew up in a very early age thinking, and both my parents were married their whole life. Okay. When I said both, I should say my parents. My grandparents married their whole life. I'm one of 7 kids. And we grew up with aunties, uncles, very, very stable. Mm-hmm. In psychology, we call it a secure attachment style, if your listeners know anything about that. So that was kind of my upbringing. A lot of love, a lot of family, a lot of friends, not a lot of money. Mm-hmm. When you don't have a lot of money, you do a lot of hanging out,
yeah.
Right? Because it's free, right?
Right.
So we did a lot of that, but you build different relationships than Facebook friends and, Instagram friends and TikTok friends and stuff like that. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just different.
Right.
It's more connective, and just with some big dreams, man, just to live an extraordinary quality of life, have multiple residences, travel around the world, be financially free, fly in a private jet, go to these exotic vacations, and educate my kids in private schools. I'm a public school child. Mm-hmm. And so I grew up with that, with a lot of dreams. And my father ended up leaving. He worked for Chrysler for 20 years and thought, you know what? I'm just making a living and barely able to support my family. So my father became an entrepreneur. His sister was an entrepreneur. My godfather was an entrepreneur. So I saw entrepreneurs around me.
Right.
And so when I was 22 years old, I was working for this firm and in San Clemente Bayou. And when I started working for this firm, it was a financial firm. He was driving a Ford. What's the top of the line Ford?
The GT?
No. Luxury car. What's it? What are they called? Ford. Gosh.
I'm drawing a blank on that one.
Yeah, I'll think of it in a minute. But it was like the equivalent to Cadillac, but it was
like
Ford.
An Expedition. Was it Expedition?
No. It was a sedan. It was a sedan.
Oh, sedan.
Yes, a Ford sedan. But the top of the line, I forgot what it was. But anyways, he started there when I was working there, and then he moved, progressively to the top of the line Mercedes-Benz, and then his kids went to private schools, and then he moved to San Clemente where he had an ocean view. And his wife used to come into the office like in the middle of the afternoon with all these shopping bags and Neiman Marcus and stuff like that. And one day I had this epiphany and I thought to myself, I'm building this guy's family's dream in their future.
Yeah.
For their family.
What were you doing for them?
I was doing estate planning for individuals and closely held corporations.
Okay.
And I just said to myself, I need to do something where I'm building my family future. I was single, but in my family, the progression is you go to school, then you get married, and then you have kids, and then you live happily ever after. I mean, this was so basic, right?
Right. It's like
So-
literally the game of life.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking, I'm building this guy's family's future. And so I decided to go on my own. I started looking around. I started a business and was so very excited, didn't have a clue. And in 6 months, man, I failed miserably. And I got my car repossessed, which was very eye-opening at that time, you know. And it didn't deter me, though. I thought, you know what? I get to frame this as either a failure or a lesson. And I framed it as a lesson. And because I said, you know, my desire hasn't changed. And one of the things my mentor said is that when you have a difficult time in business, ask yourself, is the reasons that you got into a business where you wanted to be your own boss and the goals and dreams and desires that you have, on your bad days, your worst days, has that changed? And I'm like, even though I failed, you know, my goals of traveling the world and having financial independence, I wasn't even married, I had no kids, but educating my kids, all these different things, none of that changed.
Right.
So I said, you know what, I got to get back on my horse. And I opened up another business and started to have success. And
So at this point, sorry, I didn't mean to cut
That's
you
okay,
off, but
yeah.
you're 22.
I'm 22.
Still living at home.
no, I was
No.
I've been living out of the house since I was 18 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of like the gig at my house. My father was very strict. You live under my house, my rules. It's my way or the highway. Very, very strict, but a lot of love. But he was like, listen, I'm teaching you how to be a man. And as a man, you got to be a provider for yourself and for your family. And you need to get up out of the house and go be a fucking man. And
Yeah, I
that was
get
kind
that.
of, that was the, you know, all the boys in my family, we were out of the house at 18 years old. You know, that was like the rites of passage. You know, you're 18, you're off the payroll, and you're done. But I've been working since I was 11.
Yeah, I started around the same time too.
Yeah,
I was like
11.
12, 13.
Yeah. And I was making at that time, not to age myself, but I was working. I have a twin brother. We went to the swap meet, and we were selling. That my dad's friend owned a car parts business, and at that time they used to have hubcaps. And
Yeah.
so they would bring used hubcaps to the swap meet, and I was making $5 a day. They'd pick us up like at 5 o'clock in the morning because we'd have to go set everything up. We'd work all day, both Saturday and Sunday. But I had $10 in my pocket, and that's the first time I got a taste of the nectar of financial freedom. I didn't have to go to my parents to ask for money. We had money in our pocket.
Right.
And that was the beginning. I've been working ever since, man.
Well, and
And
$10 back then. Like,
Yeah.
Even $10 when I was a kid,
Yeah.
I was like, I can go to the vending machine
Yeah.
10 times.
Yeah, I know.
Like, you felt rich, but
Yeah.
nowadays it's like,
No,
that
I
doesn't
know.
get you anything.
No, I know. But that was the beginning, and what it did is it expanded my mind and my vision of what was possible.
Right.
And so then I failed my first business, which was on the distribution side of nutraceuticals. I was out of business in 6 months. Then I went back to opening up a private practice of being in the financial services business. Started to have great success. Bought my first home when I was 26. And it was so interesting because I saved and saved and saved. And by the time it was time to close on the house, I was $6,000 short. I had put all my savings into this house. I bought my first house in Dove Canyon, out by Coto de Casa. Yeah. And my best friend lent me $6,000 to close on my house because I was short. He's like, you're one of the very few people who's ever paid me back. But I paid him back, and I got my first piece of real estate. So I got on the real estate ladder. And then I had the good fortune, just by chance, to meet a multimillionaire. And my father was a great, great role model. How to be a man, how to be a provider, how to dream big. Everything was possible. He had a relentless belief in his kids. The thing he didn't have is he didn't have the blueprint to teach us how to have financial freedom. Because my father, more or less, with so many kids, lived paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
And so I knew that wasn't my destiny. So I met this multimillionaire, and he said, listen, I'll be your mentor. And I played sports, you know, and when I say I play sports, I played the kind of sports where everybody can play. So like AYSO or Pop Warner football. But I tell you what, I learned some amazing lessons about the value of a coach, about camaraderie, about teamwork, about pulling your weight, you know, about discipline and practicing. And so I had this chance where this millionaire said, hey, I'll teach you how to build a business. And in 3 to 4 years, you can walk away and have a passive income of millions of dollars. And I was like, oof, that sounds amazing. What I can do with that kind of money, that would make my dreams come true, right?
Right. Where'd you meet him?
So my sister wanted to lose some weight. And I'm very benevolent because I was raised that way. So I said, you know what, I'm your brother. Let me go see if I can get some weight loss products from you. So he had a business where that's what they distributed, okay, is nutraceuticals. And one of those competencies of nutraceuticals was an opportunity to lose weight. So I went and got this product. And as I was getting the product, he goes, hey, I can show you how to build your own distribution company. And that's kind of how it started. So at first I was like, wow, 3 to 4 years? How does that work? And I just couldn't comprehend it. And, but I went home and I was thinking, God, that would make all my dreams come true.
Yeah.
So I called him back. I said, if you're really seriously, serious about wanting to teach me how to make a passive income of millions of dollars in 3 to 4 years, I said, I'm in. I'll do whatever you teach me to do. As long as you don't ask me to compromise my morals or my ethics, I'll do it. So I jumped in that business. My family thought I was crazy. I was 28. I'm 60. Okay. I was 28, so it was a while ago. I was making my last year right under 300K. So that would be equivalent today, making like, we'll call it maybe 800,000, 900,000 bucks. I was 28 and single. And it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But in my mind's eye, okay, I wanted to be a millionaire.
Right.
Okay.
So it wasn't enough.
It just wasn't enough. In living in Orange County, I lived a really comfortable lifestyle, but I wasn't financially free.
Right.
And so I went to him.
Like even now, like 300,000.
Yeah.
It's about the same. Like you can go out to Nobu, you can go do the Orange County things, but you're probably not saving a lot. But like you are living the OC life.
Yeah. But you're not living a life of extraordinary vacations where you're traveling, 2 or 3 months of the year, having multiple residences, having multiple cars, lots of money in the bank, making you money. Your money is making you money for you. And so I just said, if I got a mentor and I knew the value of a coach/mentor, I'm in.
Right.
My family thought I was just friggin' crazy. And I started to do that. I didn't understand anything, but what I was really, really good at was executing. So he'd say, okay, this is the plan for the month. This is what you got to do. These are the measurables. These are the KPIs or the key performance indicators that we got to hyper focus on. And so that's what I did. I executed the plan. We look at the numbers. At the end of the month, he'd say, this is what you did good. This is where you failed. This is where you were marginal. This is what you need to do different. And so I'd have another 30-day plan. And this is how he mentored me. And by the time I was 30, I was making $1 million of passive income.
Wow.
Yeah. And everything changed. Everything changed. And I was so grateful. And then I ran across another mentor, Jim Rohn, who some of your audience might know.
Right.
He was Tony Robbins' mentor.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to teach you how to design your life. And if you want things to change, you've got to change. So he said, Doran, for things to change, you've got to change. For things to get better, you've got to get better. And the reason why I tell that to your listening audience is that so many people want their life to change, but they're not willing to change.
Well, and they don't do anything about it.
They don't do anything different.
Me.
Exactly. And so Jim was very clear. Listen, for things to get better, you've got to get better. For things to change, you've got to change. And so I was really clear on that. And I just started to grow. And Jim said, you got to work harder on yourself than you do on your business. And if you do, you will become more. As a result, you will do more. And as a result, you will have more. A lot of people want to have more, but they don't want to do more and they don't want to become more. They want to be the same person today, but have a financial freedom or have financial freedom tomorrow. And the math doesn't math.
No,
you know what I mean?
No.
So I was all about growing and changing and evolving. And I had some great mentors, I have to say. And I would never have the success that I have without the mentors.
So the way at least it sounded is they did this for free, right?
It wasn't. No. So it wasn't free.
Okay.
Number one. And then what happened is, to tell you how keen I was about it, is I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, okay? And the reason is because, growing up in California like you did, we see a lot of success everywhere.
Right.
Right? We have athletes, we have Hollywood, we have tech, we have real estate, and so many other 50 million ways that people make money. This is the fourth biggest economy in the world, California, if you count it as a state. I mean, if you count it as a country.
Right.
So there's nothing but blue skies here. But we also know of these stories that people go from poor to rich to poor again. And they squander because they don't change as people. So I recognize that my income, Austin, was growing faster than I was as a man. And I thought, if I don't change, I'm going to end up being like those guys. They go from poor to rich to poor. And so I knew I had to grow. So I went to my first Tony Robbins seminar. Met Tony. I met somebody who knew Tony, so I got a personal introduction to him.
No way.
Yeah, and then he wanted to get involved in the business that I was in, so we started to talk about what that might look like, and it led to a relationship with him. And then I end up, at that time, he was taking on clients. I was just like a nobody, in like an audience of 5,000 people. And he goes, I'm taking on clients. And he goes, I get a piece of the action, and it's $1 million up front.
Up front?
Up front, yeah. And
how old are you at this time?
At that time, I was 30.
Okay.
30, maybe 31. And so I said, I'm in. I'll stroke the check. And they were like, W2F, who's this kid? But I had the money. And then they gave me a binder probably about 5 inches thick of questions. And I was like, I got overwhelmed, ironically. Then I had a chance to go to a leadership thing with Tony. And I end up meeting the head trainer for Robbins Research. He's still the head trainer. He's the only person who co-authored a book with Tony that's a bestseller. His name's Joseph McClendon. Mm. And I happened to go to a leadership seminar with them, and they broke us into teams, and each team had a leader. And so we split all these teams, and then Joseph goes, hey, this is the team that I'm going to be the leadership to give you guys the example. And it happened to be the team that I was a part of. And I saw this guy who was like the mini Tony Robbins. And I went to him, and I was like, hey, I would really like to spend some time with you and pick your brain. Could you give me a few minutes of your time? So he goes, okay. He didn't know who I was from Adam. And then the next day went by, the next day went by, and he didn't give me the time of day. And I was like, that's kind of strange. I went to this guy earnestly with hat in hand going, hey, I'd like to speak to you. Because I was thinking to myself, if I can hire him, and he lived here locally, and I said, that would be amazing. So finally, the last day came, and he goes, Doran, listen, after the seminar, I'll spend a few minutes with you. So I was like, all right, bro, So I'm thinking we're going to go someplace nice and fancy. And he goes, I'll just meet you right outside the doors of the, we were like in these big ballrooms, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, this guy's treating me like a nobody, right? But I'm thinking, okay, it is what it is. So I sat down with him, and the first thing he said to me is, he goes, listen, Doran, as I go, I'm looking to hire somebody to be a peak performance coach for me. He goes, and I'll never forget, he goes, look, I'm not looking for any more friends. I got a lot of friends. Then I was like, that is so offensive.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to be your friend, bro. I'm looking to hire somebody. The long story short is that I hired him, okay? And this was probably 28 years ago. I paid him $250,000, which you can buy a house back then for $250K.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of money. And I hired him as my peak performance coach. And can I tell you what? So when you say free, I knew that having a coach and a mentor was so valuable. I was willing to pay. Not everyone is willing to pay. That'd be the equivalent to paying someone almost $1 million, $800,000 in today's dollars at that time. So it was a lot of money.
Well, and you're like early 30s at this time.
Yeah, I was early 30s. Yeah, I was 32 or 33 at that time. Yeah, but can I tell you what? It was money well spent, and it changed the trajectory of my whole. I'm so grateful, and I end up being the best man in his wedding.
No way.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy who didn't want any more friends.
I know. We became very close friends. I know.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's an amazing soul, I have to tell you. And he does. This is his passion. He coaches and mentors people around the world, and he's just a phenomenal guy. Yeah, phenomenal guy.
What do you attribute all your success of getting into the rooms with these people? Like,
yeah, that's a great question. And so first of all, I'm an advocate and a proponent of energy.
mm-hmm.
Our words create energy. That energy emits a vibration, and like attracts like. So people like themselves, or people that they want to be like.
Right.
So, for example, today I'm in this genre of a podcast. I came here to do a podcast, and the next thing I know, I get introduced to you. How does that work? Because you're about success too, and
right.
people who are success and have a desire to mentor people, we're like-minded people, and so it's just a natural, dynamic of us connecting and then sharing our wisdom with people to help them get to the next rung in the ladder for them and their families.
Yeah, it's nice to hear, like, your whole story and this exact part of our story is, like, really speaking to me, because I am 28.
Okay, there you go.
And a lot of your success came around being 28.
28, man.
So, like, everything I'm just, like, listening so intently to,
Yeah.
because, like, I want to be ultra successful as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked right before this, like, I want to live on the beach in Newport and go on these vacations and live that life that everyone dreams of.
Yeah, and can I tell you what? I live on the beach. I wake up every day to the sound of the ocean. I watch the sunset every day. I've traveled to 6 of the 7 continents. I've lived just an extraordinary life. I've got 6 kids. And I'm so grateful for having kids, and I've got a close family. We're tight, and I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm grateful.
Yeah, you look amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Not by chance, all by design, brother.
Yeah, you got to work at that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I take my fitness. Honestly, it's on and off how much I care about it. But like when I'm really into it, like it is a lot of work. Your diet, you're working out every day, sometimes twice a day, like.
Yeah,
and
I want to encourage you.
Fast.
Health is wealth, man.
I know.
Health. I know a lot of wealthy people, and they squander their health. And Joe and I were talking that an unhealthy man, when I say man, I want to be respectful. Human, it's not just men. So a healthy person, an unhealthy sick person's got one dream.
To be healthy.
A healthy person's got many dreams. So I would encourage you. I had the good fortune when I was getting mentored to be mentored about financial freedom, success, but also health. And I'm so grateful. Some people, their path is going down a way where they meet someone who is unethical, okay, or does something illegal, and they pull them into that, and the next thing you know, they're doing something unethical and illegal. I'm so grateful, Austin, that my mentors, man, they never asked me to compromise my ethics, my morals, to do anything illegal, to hurt people. It was always about serving people,
right?
Empowering people, So I'm very, very grateful because, I was still impressionable at that time, and you get people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and they start to get greedy, and they meet someone going, hey, I can teach you how to do this. And then they go, it's unethical, but then they go, the money's so good. Then they can't sleep. They're making money, but then they can't sleep at night, or they're looking over their shoulders. So I sleep like a baby, and I wake up grateful. And, your podcast of inspiring and empowering people to have success in all areas of their life is priceless, man. So kudos to you and congratulations.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's definitely the goal. And on top of that, I want to build like a networking group that we don't just go to, some crappy bar and get 2 drink tickets. Like I want to get people together and like go do fun, exciting, like things that are healthy. Like let's all go to a field and, play football or soccer or kickball, whatever, like, make it more fun and bring a bunch of like-minded people together.
Yeah. Mastermind group, man, is powerful. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're hard to find, especially for the younger generation. A lot of the masterminds are,
Yeah, they're older.
They're all older, and it's hard to connect with those people sometimes.
Yeah, and that's why what you're doing is so powerful, Because the sooner you can get exposed to that group and that dynamic, I call it iron sharpening iron.
Mm-hmm.
The value proposition, man, is extraordinary. And so people just got to seek, and then they'll find. Knock and the door shall open. We all know that.
Right.
You know? So you're a platform for people to be attracted to. And if I was your listener, man, I would hold on tight. And I would encourage them, it's not just about learning, because learning is one thing, but mastering something is totally different. And when you master the opportunity to create wealth or health, man, it's life-changing.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what happened after your 30s there?
So after my 30s, started having a family and started to build my legacy. I became my passion and my purpose in life changed from wanting to make money to being a man of impact and transformation, and taking all the wisdom and knowledge that my great mentors imbued on me, and then sharing it with other people, creating a platform different because we didn't have podcasts,
right?
Okay, but something similar of inspiring and empowering people. And the ironic part about it is the more people I served, the more money I made. And so it was just magical. And my life mission started to change, and wanting to be more benevolent and do more philanthropical things, and then to travel, see the world, to build my castle, which I had an opportunity to do in Newport Coast. My house that I built, somebody actually, and I built this magnificent house in Newport Coast, 18,000 square feet of just opulence.
What do you do with 18,000 square feet?
Man, can I tell you what? It's not, it was more about the accomplishment.
Right.
You know, having a 10-car garage, having a gym, like a legitimate gym, you know.
Yeah, having Equinox in your
house. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I had 4 movie theaters. My house had 35 TVs in it. I had a 220-degree view of the ocean, a 100-foot driveway into like these gates, you know, to open into my house. And it was more about the journey and dreaming something that was so amazing and making that dream come true.
Okay.
And it was really about that. You know, now I downsized. I live in a 4,400 square foot house, but it's right on the beach. And just the energy and the youth that's around there is very different than living on the mountaintop, so to speak.
Right.
Somebody bought my house. I sold my house. They gutted it. Can you imagine? They gutted it. And they just sold it, gutted, for $42 million.
What?
That's how spectacular this place was.
Wow.
Just right here in Newport Coast, down the street from us, man.
Pelican?
In Pelican, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's incredible. Anything will sell there. I mean, it's like the epitome of wealthy lifestyle.
So just to give you an idea, so you know Pelican. So there's Pelican Crest, okay? My address, number 1, Pelican Crest.
Really?
I built that house, yeah.
Was that the first house in Pelican Crest?
It's not the first house, but it was the premier lot.
Okay.
And that's why it was number 1 Pelican Crest.
Wow.
It was really interesting because when I went there, I bought it from the Irvine Company, and the guy's like, "This is the premier lot in this whole place." You know, Kobe Bryant was my neighbor. Jim Gennard, who was the founder of Oakley, was my neighbor, and but nobody had bought it. And I'm like, let's see, how old was I? I was 32 when I bought it, and yeah, and it was the most expensive real estate there. And I was like, you know, you guys are promoting this like this is the premier lot, you know, but I'm new money, first of all, you know, because there's a lot of old money in this area. And so I would consider myself nouveau riche, you know. So I'm like, how come no one's, you know, bought that? Are you sure? And he's like, the guy looked at me, and he was an older guy, and he had these glasses on. He put his glasses down on his nose, and he goes, "Son, do you realize how many people in the world can afford this piece of property?" It was just dirt, no house, right? And I thought, okay, I get it. But what I had, and what I want to encourage your listeners to have is vision of what it could be like. And when I bought it, my family's like, "Doran, you're crazy. You're spending all that money. You don't have a place to put your head. It's just dirt."
How much was this dirt?
At that time, it was $5 million.
Wow. Okay.
But to put it in perspective,
No, that's like kind of cheap for Pelican.
yeah, but to put it in perspective, you could at that time buy something for 600,000 to $1.2 million and have a lot to build your house on.
Right.
So I spent more or less 5 to 7 times more than the next person to buy a piece of property, and my family thought I was crazy. But and then I built a palace, and then they're like, "Oh, you're lucky." I'm like, "Let me tell you, man. The harder I work, the smarter I work, the luckier I got."
Right.
And so in real estate in California, it was a spectacular investment, and I got to build my dream. Now I live in a house that I built, and it's a different dream. It's more contemporary. That was Italian, Tuscan, but just a great opportunity when I'm in my 30s to start not just dreaming, but my dreams start to come to fruition. And so I had an opportunity to execute. I built schools for kids. I did a lot of philanthropical things. That part of my mission was not just to have success for myself, but also to help the people that I love and adore. So I was able in my lifetime to do a lot of things for a lot of people because it's just my passion and it fills me.
Are you still doing all these things?
I'm still doing all those things, man.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're gonna do them forever, as long as you can.
No, forever, because it gives me great joy because I knew that my success was not just about me. So, for example, my first to kind of give your audience an idea of my character, my very first purchase when I made my first fortune is I bought my parents their dream house overlooking the ocean in Newport Coast. Before I bought myself anything, I bought my parents their multi-million-dollar house. And so I grew up with a really solid background. My morals, I'm not a perfect person. I don't want to say that, but I'm a good soul, and my priorities were right. And so my parents, they gave, when you give as much as you can from as little as you have, it's a bit different because my family wasn't wealthy. And to move my parents into their dream house and give them the keys, so my mom could put her makeup looking at the ocean, was a dream come true, man. And so I'm very grateful to be able to do things like that in my lifetime and help people. And I knew my success was not just about me.
Right.
It was about what I can do and be a man of impact and transformation for other people.
Well, most of the wealthy people I've spoken to that are truly wealthy, they all say if your goal is money or just your own financial freedom, it gets old, it gets boring, and you're not going to thrive the way you want to because money loses it's almost like it loses value. Like there's no more fun to it. So the more I hear that, the more I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like
that's why you got to find out what's your purpose and your mission in life as a human.
Right.
Outside of just making money. Because really what people don't realize, it's not the money, but it's what the money can do and how it can make you feel. So one of the things that's really critical is that people, few people write down their goals and dreams, and even fewer people write them down and go, hey, this is how this is going to make me feel. And they don't get emotionally attached, which is why a lot of people don't achieve their goals, even though they write them down. So the key is to write down your goals, your dreams, and your objective, and then get emotionally attached to it. So that okay, by getting on the real estate ladder or to going on this vacation, my parents never had been out of Europe. Had never been to Europe. Because with 6 kids and living paycheck to paycheck,
how could you?
Our biggest vacation growing up, which was one, is my father rented his buddy's mobile home. He put all 6 kids of us in this mobile home, and we drove to Northern California to my cousin's house and slept on the floor. That was the most important vacation that we had. So my parents had never traveled. And so when I was 21, I took my parents on their dream vacation to Europe, and I paid for everything.
Wow.
So it's important to get emotionally attached to your goals and dreams, because it wasn't just the fact that I did that, but how it made me feel as a son to be able to do that and give back to my family, which gave me so much, was so rewarding. It was the driver. The driver was not to just send them on vacation, but how it's going to make me feel to be able to do that with my family.
Wow.
So,
and you did it so young.
Yeah. I'm wired that way, I have to say. My grandmother was that way, and I'm just wired that way. My brother says, you're the nicest person I know. Seriously. And have I been hurt? Have I been betrayed? Have I been lied to or cheated to along my journey? Yeah. But I always tell people, listen, it's the plight of a man. It built our character. We're not meant as men to have an easy life, because easy lives, it creates weak men. Difficult lives create strong men. So I take those things and I embrace them. I don't hold malice. I don't hold grudges. I let them go. I don't give people the ability to control me because energetically they've done something bad to me. Because, and also in fairness, there's really good people who've done some bad things. It doesn't make them bad people. They just made a mistake. Mm-hmm. But I forgive them, and I live a carefree life like a bird. And like I told my brother, the best person I can be is my true and authentic self. And if it gives me joy and it gives me fulfillment to impact other people, to give people, to do things for people, and it lights my fire, why not? I want to continue to be on this journey of me being my authentic self, because it's very rewarding and very fulfilling.
How did you find your purpose?
That's a great question.
Because I feel like you hear that a lot. You got to find your why, your purpose, and everything. Yeah. And like, does it just come to you? Like, do you write on a piece of paper? Like, this is what I want it to be.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't know how it is for other people, but for me, it's kind of like this. You go through a lot of different stages in your life, like wanting to do something and then dreaming about doing it and then writing it down, then having some level of success and then having some trials and tribulations or failures or getting a little taste of success. And along that journey, what you find out is we're guys, okay? Have you been married before?
No.
Okay. But I bet if you look historically, there is a certain type of person that's in your mind's eye that you go, this is the type of person I would like to have a relationship. It doesn't have to be marriage, but a specific type of person.
Right.
Okay. You also know there's specific type of people that maybe you don't want to be in a relationship with. For example, and I'm not judging these people. Let's say someone's got a drug problem, okay, or is an alcoholic. You probably wouldn't be thinking, hey, that's the type of person I want to be with.
Right.
Right. But there are types of people where you've dated where you go, I like this characteristic. I like that trait. I like how she's treating me. I like how, she stays in her feminine energy and I get to be in my masculine energy. And so along that road, you find out things that start to fulfill you, that light your fire. And then so what you do is you pour a little more fuel on that fire. And then you go, wow, I even like that even more. And so then you start to find your path. Like when I was building my business and I was in a mentor, coach, role model position, I realized that the more I served these people, the more rewarding it was for me. And so I started to realize that, I'm a great servant leader. That's how I built my initial wealth, is serving people, not just being a leader. You get some people who go, hey, I'm a leader. They look behind themselves. No one's following them. I tell, listen, if you call yourself a leader and you look behind you, no one's following you, you're just taking a long walk, But to be a leader, you got to lead a group of people.
Right.
Right. And so I started leading thousands of people. And I just realized that it was very fulfilling. Much more than the money is to serve people and see their success, participate in their success, impact them. And that's why when I was early in my career in building a business, is I thought, okay, I want to be a man of impact. I want to meet somebody and go, I'm going to impact their life. And they walk away and go, that Doran impacted me. But then I started to evolve and go, what if I impacted them, but then they didn't take any action, and as a result, they didn't get any different result. So I thought, I need to be a man of impact, but also transformation. Because if I can impact you and help you transform your life so that you can get what you want, man, it's rewarding for me.
Right.
And so my focus started to change on that because it fueled my fire and it gave me a great sense of joy. And so that's how I discovered my mission.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many people have you helped and actually changed where they were listening and did what you told them or followed your actions?
Thousands. No exaggeration. Thousands of people in probably 4 continents in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've really had a global impact. Yeah. And I'm very grateful for it. You know?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I feel like I can talk to you forever.
Yeah.
And I think we're already coming up on like an hour.
Okay.
What's some advice you'd give for the youth, like watching right now, just something that can get them somewhere near the success that you've had?
Okay, so that's a great question. The first thing I would do is I would grow your vision, okay? Or said differently, start to think about and dream about your goals, dreams, and desires. Helen Keller, who's a blind woman, she said what's worse than being blind is having sight without vision. Okay, so without vision, we perish. So I would encourage your listeners is to start to create a vision, or better known for like a vision board, right? Whether it's Pinterest or you're actually doing a physical board, whatever the case may be. That's the first thing I would do, okay? Number 2, because remember, you're going to, whatever you aim at is what you're going to hit. So if you shoot at nothing, what are you going to get? Nothing. So that's the worst thing you can do. So I'd put a vision board of some sort together or write down your goals or dreams, okay? The second thing I would do is I would get emotionally attached, and I would ask myself this question: how is it going to make me feel to travel to that destination, to do that for my family, to do that for my friend, to do that for myself? What's the feeling? Because it's not just money and having rich, but it's going to make you feel what? I'm going to feel secure. Okay? I'm going to feel like I can provide for my family. I feel like I can take care of my husband or my spouse or my ailing parents or my children. I wanted to educate my kids. My kids, their whole life have gone to private schools. All 6 of them. Okay? No public schools. I went to public school. Now, I did okay, even though I went to public school, but it was my vision, and I thought, okay, I'm going to do something for my kids, and it's going to make me feel like an accomplished parent, that I can educate my kids and give them the best education money can buy. So it made me feel significant. Okay? So I would get a vision board, write down your goals, dreams, and desires. Then what I would do is I would start to get emotionally attached. And then the next thing I would do is I would find a mentor. Okay? And mentors can come in all different shapes and sizes. They can be direct. They can be through a book. They can be through a movie. They can be through a podcast. There's so many ways to get exposed to mentors or coaches these days. Okay?
I love that you bring that up, because there's been a lot of people on the show that just say, go get a mentor. And I've even asked, like, how? Like, what do you mean by that? Like, I don't care. Go pay someone.
Yeah.
It's like, well, not everyone can. So it's nice that you're, like, thinking way outside the box. Like,
yeah, and you don't
be
have to
mentored
pay
by
for somebody. Yeah.
someone you don't even need to meet in person.
No, not at all. But mentors have such a profound impact on you. And then what I would do, even for those people who are struggling for a mentor, what I would do is get a plan. Okay? Because no plan is a plan to fail. So I'd put some plan together, which means you're going to get a target. You know, one of the great things about, like, whether you're throwing darts or you're shooting through a gun for a target or a bow and arrow, is that we know where the bullseye is, right? And if we miss 3 rings to the left, we know we're close. If we're not even hitting the target, we know we're way off and we got to adjust.
Right.
So having a target is so critical. And that's why having a plan is so important, is put a plan together. And then what I would do is start to execute. And I'm going to give you, it's called the ultimate success formula. Okay? Number 1 is know your dreams and goals. Number 2 is know your reason why. Because if your why is big enough, you can accomplish anything. It's never about the how. For your listening audience, it's not about the how. It's about the why that's going to drive you to get the result. The third thing is take massive action. That means if you're going to start something, don't go in half-baked. You know, go in full force, take massive action. Fourth thing is to know what you're getting. So if you're not getting your result or you're not moving toward your result, the last thing, number 5, is change your approach. And if you keep on changing your approach and you keep on measuring and weighing where you're lining up on your target or your objectives, then you adjust. You know, you modify, and you just be relentless in it. And I'll tell you what, if you're in your 20s, there's more information on how to be successful than there has ever been in the history of mankind. People have more access to free information than any time in the history of mankind. There is no reason why anybody can't have success. You know, we live in the greatest country in the world. America's the biggest economy. China, Japan. China's been around for almost 4,000 years. Japan's been around for 2,800 years. America's been around for 250 years. We're doing something right. And when I say we, it's we, the people in the United States. We have a recipe of success. And you can go anywhere and get exposed to successful people if you keep on looking and you keep on searching for it. And that's what I would encourage your mentors to do, like this podcast. Hone in it, or other podcasts, or books, or, you know, there's so many different ways, you know, I would use Instagram, I would use TikTok, all these different social media platforms to get exposed to information and mentoring. And the sky's the limit, man. Everything you can dream about is possible in the U.S.
I think that was the best answer to that question I've had so far.
Okay, good.
It's just very descriptive and an actual way to get from point A to point B.
Good.
Sorry to anyone who was on my show before who gave me a good answer, but
No. I want to say thank you very much for allowing me
time
to be here and to serve your listening audience. And I'm excited. I want to be the very first person to congratulate you guys on your wild success.
How can these guys support you in whatever you're trying to accomplish the next rest of your life?
So thank you very much. The way you can do it is pay it forward. I had the great opportunity to have mentors and people impact me. You guys will get the information. You'll start to have success. And remember, don't look down on people unless you're willing to reach down and help them get to the next step in life. And that's how you can help support me and perpetuate iron sharpening iron. If everyone's continuing to support themselves, imagine what we can do the next 250 years.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you, my friend.
Absolutely.
That was
My pleasure.
amazing. I feel like this can go on forever, but it's got to stop at some point.
Yes, thank you.
To everyone who made it to the end, I appreciate you and all the support you've given so far. Stay tuned for weekly episodes, and if you know anyone who might be a good candidate for the show, please drop it in the comments below or shoot me a DM.